Hello! Read it here. Today we're going to read a story from our /Entitle parents. Now, for our first story. Entitled Dad and Brother Try to Control a Trip They Won't Be Going On. Background. I, 20M, have been having a rough year. I've been attending college, and before recently was on a streak of poor or failing grades that lasted 2 quarters through a combination of burnout, poor management, and plain old depression. This has delayed my advancement to a bachelor's to next year. Luckily, I'm doing much better this quarter due to a lighter load and making extra sure I don't start slipping. So recently, the fourth My Hero Academia movie released in theaters. I've been following the manga for about 2 years, and I've been rewatching it with my mother recently, so we were planning on going to see it. However, I was only about 3 to 4 weeks into the quarter, and I was paranoid about slipping back into the previous 2 quarters. So I delayed it until my midterms were over, and I was confident that I wasn't just going to go 3 for 3 and truly screw myself over. The issue is that I wasn't aware that anime movies don't stay in theaters as long as normal movies. In the week or 2 that I had put it off, the theaters near me had already stopped showing it. However, there was one place still showing it a couple hours away, so not all hope was lost. I'm still doing training for my driver's license, so I made a plan to go bus hopping to go see it. It would take a while, but it wasn't like I had anything pressing besides work or school, the woes of having all your friends at distant colleges. My mother had only reached season 6. The movie takes place early in season 7, so I was just going to see it now and watch it again with her once it went on to streaming services. I informed my family of my plans, and Entitled Dad immediately declares that it's not going to happen. He made some decent points like the possibility of being stranded if something wrong and the bus failed, the cost of the bus fare, how hard it would be to reach me if something went wrong. But the core of his argument was literally just it's dumb, and referencing a time last year when I took a train to visit a friend a city over and the bus was late, resulting in a delay. He twisted this into me being an hour late and needing to be picked up before I reached the destination. Because of that, I was always going to be picked up at the last leg. It was either that or walk 15 minutes, refusing to listen to what had actually happened. Upon hearing this, my mother offered to just drive together, since she did not care as much as I had assumed about seeing the movies in the correct chronological order. We eventually worked out a time. I bought the tickets and everything seemed fine. I made it clear to her that she didn't need to go just for me, and I thought that was that. Then ED found out. He immediately goes straight to me to repeat that this is dumb and shouldn't be happening. The problem is that all his valid arguments from before were nullified by the fact that I was going with someone else and not relying on the bus system. So, all he had left was saying it's dumb to drive an hour and a half to see a movie, and what I'm about to get to next. The counter to the first point that my brother drives longer to see his concerts on the regular was met with a simple, they're not the same, with no attempt at anything deeper. They really aren't. They're both entertainment, so it just comes down to how much enjoyment you get out of it. I detest crowds and loud noise, so I wouldn't go to a concert the same way my brother wouldn't drive to the movie. Furthermore, ED framed the delay as a failing on my part, telling me to stop using it as an excuse and just accept my punishment. He continually hammered home that I could have made time for it, but I chose not to, refusing to see it as anything but a scheduling issue rather than a priority one. But then came the worst of it. ED and my brother spent the next couple days trying to convince me that no, my mother didn't actually want to see the movie. She was only going because I wanted to, and in the words of my brother, that's why she tolerates the show. They reiterated that I was pressuring her into wasting an entire day just to make me happy. I genuinely felt awful that I might be taking up a bunch of her time to do something she had no interest in. So I called her up. She spends most of her time recently at the old house she is renovating to rent out, and made it expressly clear to her that she didn't need to do this if she didn't want to, that I could ultimately wait the 6 months for it to hit streaming platforms. And she reconfirmed that she wanted to go see it with me. Let me remind you that this is a trip that they're not going on. That doesn't impact them in any way. They just feel the need to override what the people going on the trip want because they're convinced that they know better. But they kept bringing it up with the same points as the planned date drew closer. That I was selfish for going through with this, that I didn't actually care about what she wanted and just wanted to see my movie, that I needed to be the bigger person and tell her to cancel it instead of just giving her the option to do it. They kept telling me that my mother was lying to me, that I shouldn't trust what I heard or saw, but that they were right. And when I didn't have a response to "we're right no matter what she says or what you see," my brother would smugly claim, "You don't have response, you know we're right." And every conversation would end with ED incoherently shrieking at me that I needed to cancel it and stop being selfish. Even calling up my mother to check again that she wanted to go, and her eventually deciding to directly talk to them just got ED to go to me immediately afterwards to start another rant. And as always, no new points were made. The day finally came. My mother and I left early to catch the noon screening. I paid for the tickets and gas, and we had a great time. We listened to OSP's hour-long Mummy video on the way over, chatted about fantasy as I tried and failed to explain Warhammer to her, and grabbed some lunch. The movie was, well, an anime movie, mostly just build up to the final fight scene. But the animation was fantastic. The villain really carried the movie with his sheer, pure, evil flair, and my mother enjoyed the romantic subplot between the movie original characters. I would have preferred that they used the female lead of the series more, but that's a criticism shared for all the movies. We drove back, and while we did get stuck in a traffic pileup that delayed us an hour, we both thought it was a satisfying day. ED and my brother still dismissed the whole thing as completely stupid, and my brother in particular made comments about how he'd seen the movie and it was absolutely not worth it. He also says the same thing about the series, but I've seen the merch on his shelves. He's got way more than I do. Seems he doesn't like enjoying the popular thing, even weeks afterwards. Let's hear from the comment section. You brother and dad are annoying, and they should just shut up. Your brother and dad were way too invested in your day out. If something like this happens again, don't explain or defend yourself, because you can't debate with stupid. Or how Mark Twain put it, never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Excuse my lack of better words, but F***CK your dad and your brother. They have no right to be trying to manipulate you into canceling your plans. I'm personally extremely proud of you for not backing down and not doing as they told you to do, because they have no respect for your own life. And I am happy that you and your mom had such a wonderful time together. I am 38 years old. My dad sends me page-long emails if he finds out plans he doesn't approve of. Really condescending ones. I live independently, pay my own way. I am an Iraq War vet, and my dad is still like this. You'll get out, my friend, and in 10 years, your dad is going to ask your mom why you never call him. Some people can't accept that someone enjoys something they don't. Those people are assholes. Now, for our second story. I'm tired of being blamed for everything. I know that the title sounds a certain way, and trust me, we'll get to that point. But I'm so sick and tired of my mom blaming me for things that technically I didn't do. For example, today, we went to go get KFC for dinner, and we ordered the famous bowls. They only had one regular bowl size left, so they said that they were going to put the other bowl in the side bowls. I don't know if I'm just non-confrontational, but I didn't see an issue. My mother, however, wanted to act like a Karen. I told her it's not that big of a deal and to just take it, which she did. However, the entire way back home, she was yelling at me and told me that I shouldn't have said anything and more or less let her degrade and bully these workers. Then after we left the drive-through during the drive home, I didn't want to say anything to her because I learned it's best to not say what I want in front of her because she will say that I'm insane or going to hell for talking to her the way I do. She just kept on talking and wanted me to talk to her about it. So I told her that I was always told to keep my mouth shut if I didn't have anything nice to say. Then she said that she didn't raise me to keep my mouth shut and that she raised me to have a conversation with her. Here's the thing, she can't be talked to when she's like this. You have to agree with her, and if you don't, be prepared to be yelled at because you lack intelligence if you don't yell at these poor fast food workers who definitely don't get paid enough to deal with this. Also, this isn't an isolated incident. Every single time we go through the drive-through, I have to mentally prepare myself in case they say pull forward, because if they take more than 10 minutes, she'll go inside the store and say that they are incompetent. But this happens every single time these places don't get her food right. She doesn't say things tactfully. She immediately goes for the worker's intelligence. Then the title comes from the fact that on the way home from KFC, she told me that I should have let her degrade this woman and said that it was my fault that the food wasn't correct. There was another event like this on my birthday where she yelled at a Wendy's worker because they said it was going to take 15 minutes for 4 baked potatoes. My uncle was in the car at the time, and I told her that it's not that big of a deal and that she should have just waited, and she told me to be quiet. She ruined my birthday because of it. I'm just thankful that it was close to 6 p.m. on my birthday, or else the whole day would have been ruined. As you can tell, she has a history of this. There are also a lot of other times where this happened, but I won't bore you with the details. Let's hear from the comment section. Truly, as you already know, your best action is to say as little as possible. She was frustrated and wanted to complain angrily. Don't feed the beast, so to say. You already know that she will use anything you say to keep yelling more. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this. I have faith that you will continue to mature and learn even more ways to keep yourself out of her diatribes. Happy birthday. I am confident that you will continue to make better, healthier choices every year about how you choose to live your life and deal with people than those your mother has chosen. Your life will be happier as a result. Happy birthday, fellow Redditor. If you're able to, and one of you really need to move out and go no content with your mom for good long, well, at least a year or more, along with blocking her on your phone and social media. Even if you're out with her, just don't engage or do anything at all. If you want to do that, because you're not going to get through her ever, and just tell the employee beforehand, sorry, I can't do nothing about her, and just ignore everything afterwards in her. Just ghost her while being right there. If she ever gets fed up and asks you to respond saying, you're done with everything and you're not responding to anything ever again, you're fully done with the entire situation and you acting like an entitled person. Just done. Hope you at least do a mini version of either one of these. Your mom doesn't argue about things like normal people. She argues from an emotional need. It's how she manages her emotions. She needs to feel in control and superior. If she can't take her emotions out on a teenager slinging burgers, she'll take that out on you. She's not mentally healthy. She uses others to regulate her emotions. You being non-confrontational is a side effect of living with her. You've learned to keep your mouth shut and your head down to avoid her abuse. It's a survival skill we learn from living with an abusive parent. Unfortunately, it doesn't serve us well in the world where we have to stand up for ourselves and put ourselves first. You can't win with people like your mom. You've learned this already. She argues from an emotional standpoint. She has to win. So her arguments don't make sense because she is using whatever she thinks will win. She will contradict herself and then get mad if you point this out because she needs the argument and the win to manage her emotions. For her, it's all about the argument. When she needs an argument, she will continue to pick and twist until she gets one. Since you are a normal person forced to endure this, it is slowly wearing you down. A person can only endure so much abuse. You can take some small comfort in knowing all the derogatory things she says about you are just lies. Lies she uses just to get you angry enough to give her the fight she wants. You're the only sane one in the relationship. I'm sorry you have to live like this. I spent 18 years with my dad. I know how much it sucks. All you can do is minimize contact with her as much as possible and start planning how to leave when you can. And start thinking about therapy. She has lied to you your entire life. You will need some guidance in untangling the lies and finding your way. Now, for our third story. Is anyone the scapegoat and black sheep and the youngest sibling in the family? I often see most people who are the oldest and middle child being the scapegoat and black sheep of the family, but never have I seen anyone talking about being the youngest one. Growing up, I was always the one who had no say in the family because I'm the youngest, and my sister and brother would often accuse me of things I never did because I'm the youngest and often the one who is seen as the most immature, and parents always believe that I have no right to say and explain my side of the story because I'm the youngest in the family, so I just have to suck it up. Where this idea that the youngest sibling has the best life was coming from. Is anyone here like me also the youngest and both the black sheep and scapegoat of the family? Let's hear from the comment section. Youngest daughter of 3, older brother and sister. My parents had me basically to be a companion for my mom because she was sad that my siblings were growing older and more independent. Once I was of the age where I sought independence, she took it as a personal rejection rather than a natural phase of life and resented me for not being her built-in buddy anymore. Mom is the leader of the family unit, so once she resented me, it was pretty much open season for my siblings to make me the scapegoat. Yep, I have a brother 3 years older than I, and anytime he did something wrong, I got blamed and punished, usually with a belt until I was 13 and our father got medication for his anger issues. I was never allowed to complain or try to defend myself. Some examples. He threw rocks at a neighbor's house. I got punished because I should have stopped him. I wasn't even there. He took my stuff to sell/trade for things he wanted. I got punished for whining about things. I earned money babysitting. Well, my parents often took it to pay for bills because my brother, who had a job, would ask for $100 to $200 a week, and they never told him no, but I couldn't spend my own money without permission. My mother, after we became adults, would constantly tell me that one day I would have TP pack up and move to the state my brother lives in to help take care of him and his children. Even though I have a career and family of my own here, she literally told me that my family didn't matter, I need to help my brother, and even tried to send him a gift my boyfriend, now husband, gave me because, oh, your brother and his children will just love this. I'm 40 now, both parents have passed on, and I have no contact with my brother. There are 4 siblings in my family. One oldest brother who was literally treated like the prodigal son, and always super special for being the oldest son. He stole so much from them over the years, and was still treated like he was the only kid that ever cared and did anything for her. 2. Then my sister, who was valued for being oldest daughter, but at the same time was only a girl. Except she was treasured somewhat as my mom, getting to live though her as the pretty and popular girl, until she got drunk and the jealousy of her daughter, being young, pretty, and popular, returned. 3. Then me, I was the youngest daughter. Black sheep, scapegoat, and invisible. I was told when I was young that the 3rd kid always steals the mom's beauty when she's born, except she never actually said I was pretty. Just that I took her auburn hair color. BC, her hair changed color around that age, which I now know is a natural progression with age and hormones. I was always told this super funny story about how I was a bad kid that didn't listen BC when I was really young. My parents would call for me over and over again, even while standing behind me, but I didn't respond, so they thought I might have hearing problems. Took me to the DR to check my ears, but the DR said I had perfect hearing, I was just choosing not to listen, and I was then treated as the bad kid. Guess no one ever considered autism back then, especially as a girl. Awkward and lacking social skills, I didn't give her value in that, and she resented that I was smart. She actually resented both girls for being smarter and better in school than her sons, but especially me for being the smartest BC. I didn't deserve to be smart. If any of the daughters were gifted, it should have at least been the older one. BC, she at least gave her value through social skills and being pretty. She also resented that I was a natural athlete and didn't support me in any of the sports I did. BC, the boys were supposed to have that talent, not the bad, black sheep daughter. For last was my youngest brother. Another magical penis for the dysfunctional boy mom, but also the baby who was just too young to do any of the chores that were assigned to the girls in the house. But she fucked him up good too, almost had him locked down to never be a functional adult and live with her forever. He eventually woke up from some of it and escaped in his late 20s, I think. I have an older half-sister, 22 months older. I didn't find out she has a different father until I was 17. She was told when she was also 17. My dad's name is on her birth certificate, but he was usually gone on TDY for 3 to 6 months at a time. My older sister was allowed to run wild and was highly abusive. She never had any consequences. My mother was abusive and neglectful. I was diagnosed as failure to thrive until I was 6. But my sister was always in the top 1% for height and weight, whereas I was always in the bottom 1% until middle school. All she had to do was feed me, and she couldn't be bothered. She and my sister never missed a meal, though. I was responsible for making sure my sister got up for school in the mornings, got on the bus, didn't skip classes, all the housework, making dinner. My mother stopped cooking when I was 13 or 14, all animal care, etc. My sister just did drugs, beat me to a bloody pulp when the fancy struck her, and partied. My sister barely graduated HS. I was the salutatorian and sang the national anthem at graduation. Guess who got invitations sent out in a party? Not me. Guess who got college paid for? Not me. Guess who got invitations sent out? Family paid to be flown in for college graduation and a huge party? Not me. I got $50 and a card for paying for it myself and graduating with honors. And I'm disabled and currently taking care of the father that let her live rent-free during college and aid for her, that she has refused to help with at all. She's out there living her best life as usual. I hope her and her drug addict mother rot in hell. Now, for our fourth story. My dad doesn't care anymore. My 25M dad, 61M, used to be more considerate of other people. He used to actually care how his actions affected others. I'm slightly autistic, if that means anything. For years ago, we lost my mom to lung cancer, and it was horrible. My dad, who should have been there for me and my twin brother, but instead he started pounding the drink as much as he could without going broke. He was drunk as often as he could be. He would go on about how he hated his work and how she should be here with him every day. I'd come home from work and have to try and take care of him, to the point I was never even allowed time to grieve my mom. A few months after she died, my dad told us he had used her mom's entire inheritance, roughly $70K. He spent it on getting some new teeth put in, lending some to my brother for a car, and the rest he spent on those bot hookup sites. I was so burnt out I couldn't even be angry. He started smoking again, which made me even more angry because that's what killed Mom. After a while, I put him on Tinder, if only to stop him from spending more money on those scam sites. He met a woman there and started dating her, but they sort of went into this not quite dating, but friends deal. After a while, he got so drunk he fell over and banged his head. He ended up in hospital and had to stay off from work, but because he used so much time off from being drunk, he wasn't getting paid, and it all fell on me to keep the house running. After that, he would constantly blame any forgetfulness or confusion on that fall. And it was only the fact his GF threatened to never speak to him again that he tried to clean himself up. One night, he nearly fell through the banister, and I ended up screaming at him while he sobbed about how he missed Mom. I moved out to my nan's for a few weeks, hoping he'd finally stop drinking. It only semi-worked, as he hasn't stopped drinking but no longer gets drunk. He's moved from cigarettes to vapes to try and cut them off. The house is still a mess. I try to do what I can, but every day when it's finally clean, I come home to a table with stuff left on it. Usually plates he hasn't bothered to take out, and a kitchen full of unwashed pans and plates. He works night shift 3 days a week and spends the rest either out with his not-so-GF or sitting at home sleeping, letting the mess get him down. When it gets too bad, he stomps around, getting angry, telling me I do nothing to help him out and that I should have cleaned up the mess. After a while, he calms down and apologizes. We have a dog, and he doesn't pick up his poo from the garden. He doesn't walk him. He just lets the dog run around the house, then complains about the dog needing to go out. The dog acts half-trained, jumping up at the table when we eat, grabbing clothes or other stuff and running around with it, only letting go when someone gives him a treat. My dad spends all his free time sitting at the computer, drinking and playing Call of Duty. He just leaves his empty cans and bottles by the computer, and the bottle caps are just left anywhere. Half the time the dog grabs them, and only then will he bin the one he gets off the dog. There are mountains of unwashed clothes just filling my dad's room, and he won't wash them unless urged to. Every time he gets down, he blames Mom, saying it's her fault for leaving us so soon. Every time he gets down, he goes on and on about how the only reason he's still here is because we are, and if we weren't, he'd have killed himself. How he will be happy when he goes because he will be back with Mom. How he knows we don't like to hear it but listen to him. He tells us he knows he's with his not-so-GF, but that's not the same. He owes me over 1,500 pounds, but every time he pays me a little back, he has another reason he needs the money back. Every time I complain, he's got some excuse or just says, "All right, well, I'll charge you for this." Every time I try to have a serious talk with him, he turns to talk to the dog, or pulls funny faces, or interrupts with something funny. Then when I get mad, he says, "Oh, I'm playing. Stop getting so wound up." When he wants a serious talk, he gets angry if I don't give him 100% serious attention. He lets the dog eat stuff off his plate. I have to actively warn him when the dog nearly eats something he shouldn't. Half the time he responds by pushing the plate slightly away and laughing as the dog continues to try the other half. He says stuff like, "Oh, he's got a stomach of iron, he'll be fine," then starts playing with the dog's cheeks. He vanishes to his not-so-GFs for 2 to 3 days every 2 weeks or so, buying her groceries and taking her out for food with money he doesn't have. Every single night when he's home, he puts his headset on, turns on Call of Duty on the PlayStation, then turns on his Bluetooth portable speaker and cranks the music so loud it can be heard from outside the house. I have no idea how the neighbors haven't complained, as they have all told me they can hear it. When I try to complain to him, he either responds with, "Then move, it's my house," or "It makes me happy. Don't you want me to be happy?" My head constantly hurts. I'm always tired. I hate him for just not giving any thought to others. I love him. He's my dad. I just want him to stop. I'm so damn tired of putting in effort to help him when he acts like I'm being the problem. I can't stop as I don't want to lose him. Please someone tell me I'm not crazy. I just don't know what to do anymore. Let's hear from the comment section. Okay, I can kind of get what's going on here. I don't think this is anything to do with entitlement. Your dad is textbook depressed. He needs therapy, and you're not qualified to help him through it. If you want my opinion, I suggest you sit down with your dad and talk to him why he really does need therapy and help. You should also tell him that you're not qualified enough to help him. Clearly, he's still grieving over the loss of his late wife, your mom. I suggest you show him the comments of this post, and maybe that'll be enough to get him to realize that he needs therapy. Or maybe try to get another family member like your grandmother or uncle/aunt to help convince him that he does need help. Your dad is depressed. Doesn't mean you have to take his words to heart. You might eventually need to cut him out when if you can. If he won't get help, stay safe in the meanwhile if you have to stay, and just know it's okay to hate him sometimes. I both hate and don't hate him. One minute I sit there just wanting to scream, other times I just want to make sure he's okay, and other times I'm so happy to see him. It's the back and forth that sometimes makes me so drained. That's completely fair. I have the same relationship with my mom. You're doing okay. Just stay focused and get out when you can. But don't endanger yourself. He's manipulating you, and I would minimize contact at least inside the house. Hobbies, friends you can stay at for a weekend, or something can change everything. Now, for our fifth and last story. My mom snooped through my room, found out I'm pregnant, and now I have to hide my abortion plans. Yesterday, I went to a concert, and when I got home, I was almost certain my mom had gone through my stuff. I'm almost 21, yet she still pressures me to stay on birth control, even though it's caused me all kinds of health issues in the past. That's why I've decided to switch to an IUD. To complicate things, I recently found out I'm pregnant and have decided to get an abortion while also getting the IUD. But here's the thing, I have to hide all of this from her because she's the least comforting or supportive person I know. When she came home, she insisted we talk in my room, which felt off to me immediately. I refused, sensing something wasn't right. She then pretended to ask about my day, only to end the conversation with, "Show me your birth control pills, so I know you're taking them." That's when it hit me. She'd gone through my drawers and figured out I wasn't using them. I'm also sure she saw the positive pregnancy test I had hidden there. Instead of asking me how I'm doing or offering any kind of support, she just coldly said, "Abortion isn't a form of birth control." I feel completely violated and alone. Am I wrong for feeling this way? And how do I navigate this situation while keeping my plans private? Is this enough to move out? Let's hear from the comment section. Do not admit anything. Don't say anything and proceed with your plans. When you're not showing, she's going to start questioning herself. Let her dig her own grave. When she starts asking about your pregnancy, just look confused and ask her, "What pregnancy?" Do not do or say anything about your plans. Oh, and get a safe or keep stuff that is importantly to you elsewhere where your mother can't go through them. Seconding this, don't let anyone stop you from going with your plans. If you're not ready to be a mom, no shame. When I was 21, I also got an abortion and got my IUD placed the same day. They numbed my cervix for the first procedure, so when I got the IUD placement, it was not painful at all. I still have it 6 years later. You're absolutely not wrong to feel violated. Privacy is your right. For your own safety, just don't confirm what she's seen. If she pressures you about it, try to get out of the house as much as you can until the procedure is over. Once it is, take another test and place it in there as well. Looks like the one she found was faulty. Once the procedure is done, or while you're preparing, if you have mental energy left over, I'd definitely start looking for places to move out to. And in the meantime, maybe a lock on your room or drawers. And don't forget to reach out to people you trust and who will be supportive to talk to, accompany you to, and help you through the abortion and surrounding time. You're making the right choice for you and your circumstances that will keep you healthy and safe. Don't let your mom tell you otherwise. As a woman who has had a shitty, controlling mother, an abortion at your age, as well as had kids at a more mature age, I'm going to speak to you as if you were my kid. I'm proud of you for making a tough choice. If you feel that an abortion is the right choice for you, then you do it. It may make you sad for a while, but you are making a choice that you think is best for you. Hold on to that thought if you do get sad. It's been 15 years since I've had mine, and I'm still relieved I did. I wasn't ready then, and no, I don't believe I would have been a good mother at that stage in my life. You make the choice that you feel is best for you, and don't let anyone stop you from that. Under any other circumstance, I would not approve of gaslighting. In this situation, though, I feel like it is the only way to be able to continue to let you make your choice, keep your sanity, and hopefully not destroy a relationship with your parent. I'm sorry you have to do something like this, but it is best for you. Get rid of the pregnancy test, and going forward, do not keep anything like that. If she asks you about it again, pretend you have no idea what she's talking about. Act like there's never been a pregnancy test. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more.